Champions Mojo is part of the CG Sports Network.
Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. Be inspired as you listen to Conversations with Champions. And now, your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast. And as usual, I am co-hosting with Maria Parker. Hey, Maria.
Hi, Kelly. It's so great to see your beautiful face.
Oh, and yours and Paige Madden.
And Paige's. She's far more beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
You guys are sweet.
We're going to give Paige the proper introduction right now. So, Maria, you know I'm excited to have Paige Madden on the show with us. She is an Olympic silver medalist now and an American record holder. Paige is one of the hottest women in swimming right now, coming off her first Olympics with a silver medal in the women's 4x200 free relay, where that team broke the American record and they broke the previous world record as well, which was held by Australia. She's also a member of the ISL Tokyo FrogKings. And then she helped the UVA women win the first ever NCAA championships for that team by winning the 200, the 500, and the 1650 and being part of the 800 free relay. But Paige has not always had a perfectly easy road. Maria, can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure, Kelly. 2021 was an incredible year for Paige, but she did have a few bumps in the road. As an asthmatic, Paige became quite ill when she came down with COVID-19 before the Olympic trials. And despite a reduction in her lung capacity from the illness, Paige was able to come back and make the Olympic team in two events, touching second in 400 free and third in the 200 free. And for the past 6 months, she's been traveling the world as an ISL pro swimmer, and she's part of the CG Sports Network. So we're delighted to have you on the show, Paige. Welcome.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, Paige, why don't you just catch us up with your training? Because I told a few people, hey, we're going to interview Paige Madden, and everybody's like, where is she training? What is she doing? So where are you training and how is that going?
Yeah, so I stuck around in Charlottesville at UVA. They've done everything for me. So I know that it works, and I'm comfortable here. I love Charlottesville. So I've been doing a lot of traveling, so that has kind of made things more interesting. But for now, I'm here training in my favorite place. So yeah.
Can you tell us quickly the places you've traveled in the last few months?
Yeah, so I guess, post Olympics, I first went home, and then for ISL, I spent a month in Naples, Italy, and kind of got to travel around the Amalfi Coast a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then came back to Charlottesville for a while. Yeah, we went to Greensboro, and then
when did you go to Abu Dhabi?
Oh, Abu Dhabi, that was most recently. So we left on the 10th, came back the 22nd. So that was really cool too.
Prior to this, had you done much traveling?
Not really, other than for swim meets, right. That's where the bulk of my travel comes from anyways. But I'd only been prior to Tokyo, I'd only been to Ireland and Turks and Caicos and Mexico. So
internationally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, internationally. So, and that was all, for 22 years of my life. And then within the past year, I've been to 3 different international places. So that's pretty cool.
So in the last year, you have really had like this breakout year of the NCAAs. In fact, I was thinking about your swimming resume. You've pretty much had this incredible performance at all levels of the sport. So NCAA, Olympic, ISL. So, some swimmers have a great NCAA career, or they have a great USA swimming career, or they have a great professional career. You're kind of doing great on all fronts. So what part of those different venues do you think felt like the highest or the best level of swimming?
From me personally?
Yeah. Like what was your favorite venue of pro, NCAA, or like USA level?
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
Olympic.
yeah,
you
it's
know,
hard
obviously.
to beat the Olympics. I would say that's probably, I would say, my split on the relay is probably my best race that I've ever had.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm really happy to say, it's really hard to put together a good race at all. And, I'm really proud that I was able to do that in that moment. So that's probably my favorite venue, I guess. I love pressure, so you can't get more pressure than that.
No.
Yeah, that being said, I do like, like doing short course meters or short course yards and long course I like switching it up because it keeps things fresh. Yeah, I think it's good to broaden my range, so to say.
So tell us about that race, that particular leg that was your favorite race ever.
Mhm.
What was your time? What did it feel like? Why would you rank that as so good? And then we would love to hear about why you love pressure and how you deal with that.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think more than anything, I'm just proud of because before I was very, very nervous. That's the most nervous I've ever been for any race ever. I was on a relay with Allison Schmidt, Kayla Decky, and Kay McLaughlin, all of whom I've looked up to for a long time. So I had competed earlier individually in the 400, but I felt a lot more pressure for this race because I felt like I owed it to them to do well. Especially it being Allison's last Olympic race. I've looked up to her forever, and I really wanted to do well for her and for Team USA, and that really mattered to me. So beforehand, I was really, really nervous. I think Todd could tell that I was nervous too. Todd DeSorbo, my coach, and he kind of helped me through, get over the hump, get through that mindset. And I think one thing that really helped me was I kind of put my energy into my teammates in the ready room before the race. So Kay McLaughlin and I were suite mates in the village. And we had been playing poker together, and she really loved the little blind poker chip for whatever reason. It was really cute. She'd get really excited. She's like, oh my gosh, the little blind. So Brooke Forty and Brooke was on the prelims relay with me, and we had taken the little blind poker chip from the common room. And so I gave that to her before the race, and it was really fun to see her reaction. And I think like giving that to her kind of just let me feed my energy into that and into helping her get excited and seeing her excitement, and also seeing Allison and Katie, the other Katie, their excitement. I think that helped a lot. And yeah, I went the day before. I had gone, I think I split like 155 high. My best time before that had been 156.4. I think on the relay split like 155.2. And yeah, and we I don't think anyone expected us to dip under the world record. So to be able to be a part of that and just to also watch it unfold, I was the second leg, so I got to watch the third and fourth legs. That was really exciting to watch. And there's photos of me, and like you can just see it all over my face. I'm like freaking out on the side of the pool. It was so fun. So
That sounds wonderful. What did Todd say to you to help you deal with the pressure?
He told me that I have this. He also he lied to me a little bit. So he was timing me, and I came to find out this later, but we were doing pace in the warm-up pool, and he had given me the wrong pace time. He said that I had gone faster than I actually had. And at that point he was like, I think you need more warm-up. And I was like, wait, what? Like I always do the same warm-up. And so he eventually convinced me to do more warm up. And I think that helped a lot. And then he told me after the fact, I had to lie about your pace time so that you wouldn't freak out even more than you're freaking out. But yeah, I think more than anything, he was kind of like, you've done the training, like you've got this, you perform well under any situation. So that kind of gave me the confidence going into the race.
That's wonderful.
That's so great that Todd did that. I'm in the middle of listening to an audiobook. It's either called Endurance or Endure, and it is so awesome. And it's actually about that exact thing where they've done research where they took a group of runners and they told them what their pace was before they did a time trial. And when they lied and told them that they had done a lower pace, like they were ready at a certain pace, then they performed at a way higher level than if they had given them their real times. So pretty good sports psychology there on Todd's part.
Yeah, confidence is everything.
Yeah.
So even if it's fake confidence.
Exactly. I love it.
So how have you, as a champion, how have you developed your confidence? We've read about your COVID-19 and how did you manage all that? And you just mentioned, getting in your head or out of your head, or, I guess before we started talking on the show, you talked about tension and pressure and not doing as well. So talk about how you've built your confidence.
Yeah. So I would say I wasn't always confident in my swimming, especially. I would say probably my first real breakout swim was the 500 freestyle at NCAA's my second year. So that was in 2019. And I got second in that race and dropped like 6 seconds. And that shocked everyone, including myself. And so that gave me a lot of confidence in my training. And then, and I think my coaches, my teammates could see it too. I'd always been a hard worker, but after that, then I really stepped it up and showed up every day, just, confident that I could do good things. I think, 2020, we obviously weren't able to compete. We were a little bit, but I feel like I didn't really get to show my full cards because I didn't have a full taper meet and didn't get to go to NCAA's that year. And then nothing happened that summer. So I think a lot of my confidence going into 2021 was built over my training every single day. And I think I was kind of an underdog to make the Olympic team. I would say I didn't feel that way, but on paper, at least, I hadn't competed enough or gotten the chance to compete because of COVID to show my cards. And I think I felt confident that I had really good training, was going really fast times in training, and that kind of built me for that. And then I think also, again, surprising myself at trials and then going to the Olympics and then into ISL and all that stuff. It kind of all just builds on each other and just through experience, honestly.
So Paige, we also said prior to the show that we don't like to talk tons of X's and O's of swimming, which, talking about building confidence and having one success and then kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back or whatever. So one of the things that we noticed that you do differently than almost any other swimmer who swims the 200, the 500 and the 1650 is that you breathe off of every wall, where a lot of coaches out there will tell all swimmers, take a stroke and then breathe. And the way I want to frame this for just doing something that's out of the ordinary is Molly Hannes made the 2016 Olympic team in the 200 breast by not doing a full breaststroke pullout on her last turn. So everybody, when she did that, was like, oh, Molly Hannes didn't do a pullout. Oh my gosh. And then she had more stamina in the last 50 to come home strong, and she made the team. So that was like this unacceptable, out of the norm. So in reviewing your video in the 200, the 500, the 1650, where you won NCAAs, you come off every wall and immediately, your left arm is all the way out and you're grabbing air right off the wall. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, so I have gotten a lot of comments about that, mainly from other swimmers and other coaches. But I think it's something that I did experiment with it, trying to not breathe off of the first stroke of every wall. especially in the 200. But yeah, we ultimately decided that, you know, I have good underwaters and that it was better to not sacrifice my underwaters so that I would come up earlier and not breathe the first stroke. It would be better to get more kicks underwater and then also more oxygen. You know, I think, especially in the mile and in the 500, I think it's really important to make sure that you're conserving your energy as much as you can and getting that oxygen in on the first half of the race. And it's also something that I analyzed with Russell Mark. He helped me out with that. He did some, you know, technical analysis. And yeah, he didn't have a problem with it. So I was like, all right, you know what you're talking about. So I'll keep doing it. I think I'm going to experiment with it a little bit more in the 200 for long course. But as far as short course goes, I think the trade-off for me, it's better to breathe off of the wall, no matter how many comments I get about it.
How do you respond when people comment?
Yeah, I say, you know,
Works for me.
it works for me, so I'm gonna keep doing it, and it might not work for everyone, so it's okay.
Yeah, I love that you're so different in that. And I'm sure you know who Sun Young is, the 1500 world record holder for the men from China, and he double breathes into the wall. So he pivots his head left, pivots his head right. So he grabs 2 pieces of air before he goes into the wall, and then when he comes out, he does the same thing. So you know, I just love that example for doing something that isn't textbook, that you're still, you know, making Olympic teams, setting American records, doing best times, winning, where you're not just doing something. So I hope people listen, that sometimes it's good to do what the experts say and what is accepted, but sometimes you can just totally be out of the box, which that breathing technique is out of the box. And
it shows respect for you from your coaches. That, you know, they're saying, well, let's, you know, see if this works, and willing to do the analysis. So I love it. I think it shows that coaching is partnership. You know, it's not just, you better do what I say, but you know, if that's working for you, you know, and you got the analysis. So that's great. How, speaking of lungs and grabbing air, how are your lungs since you got COVID-19?
Yeah, as far as I know, I think that I've recovered. I think I struggled a little bit over the summer, especially before trials, and then a little bit during trials too. But that being said, I'm really glad that I got the vaccine, and I think that helped a lot. And I think just time too, you know.
Had the vaccine before you got COVID?
I had the first dose.
Okay.
And then got COVID, and then got the second dose.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Paige, you're this year that you've had, we've talked about your confidence. What about like the biggest obstacle that you overcame? Was it COVID? Was it, you know, just
we read about a car wreck?
Yeah, like what's been the challenge? Because your life looks pretty rosy, but we all know that it isn't always.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of challenges that I can speak on. I think probably bigger picture, probably coming off post-Olympics, I'm probably still getting over the post-Olympic depression, and just a lot of that was just that I'd come home and you know, not felt great because I had been on such a high, and then had some issues in my personal life as well, and was trying to get over that. And then all of a sudden I went off to Italy for a month, and that kind of like cured all my problems for a little bit, but it was kind of just pushing it away. So I think right now I'm still trying to get over that, but I think acutely, like I had COVID before trials. I also had a drug test scare during trials. So I was not, like I said before, I was not feeling that great during trials. I was a little sick. And so I had taken, my trainer had given me some Mucinex like the day before my race. And innocently, and come to find out, you're not, you know, USADA or whatever recommends not, it's allowed in competition up to a certain amount. And so USADA recommends against taking it before a 24-hour period before your race. And I had taken it like, I don't know, maybe like it was the day before. So I don't know how many hours before. So, and I had found out about it while I was in Omaha, that this was going on, and that I declared it on my sheet after my drug tests, and was just really, really scared that my dream was going to get taken away from me. I felt like a fraud. I found this out like the day of the 200 free final, and it was like hours before my race. And obviously I'm very, very upset. I'm still trying to decide whether or not I should even compete because I was so upset. And ultimately decided to compete because we didn't know what the result of the drug test would be. It ultimately came back negative, like nothing was wrong. But it was really scary. And I felt, walking out for that final, I didn't feel like myself. I felt like a fraud. I felt like everything was going to be taken away from me. Like what I had worked for was just going to be gone. And it was really, really hard for me to put on a smile and act like everything going on with me was okay. And, still try to race to the best of my ability. So that was really hard to overcome. And I think that's probably a mark of, the best athletes out there. They overcome adversity. They know how to deal with things that come their way. Like you said earlier, I got in a car crash while I was in Greensboro for US Open, and I had to scratch the 400 freestyle final, but I still decided to come back the next day and swim the 2 free and had a really good race, despite, being in tears and having a really rough night beforehand. And the reason I wanted to do that is because having experienced adversity before, I knew that it would only make me stronger and make me more prepared for the next piece of adversity that's going to come my way, because I know that it's going to come considering my luck. And just, everything can't go perfectly. So.
That's just kind of life.
Yeah. I love that you said that. And so you've mentioned, we've read that you're an incredibly hard worker. You've always been a hard worker, right?
Thank
That's
you.
just something, and apparently an academic genius as well. But
Thank you.
So you've mentioned hard work, and you've mentioned just being a professional and showing up even when things aren't good inside, or you're overcoming adversity. What other characteristics do you think champions have?
Yeah, I think part of, like I said, overcoming adversity, part of that is just being consistent every day in your practice. And I think that will help you overcome, whatever comes your way, because at the end of the day, whatever athletic endeavor you have, it's not necessarily what happens that day and that time. It's what you've done for years and years before, what you've done for months before. It's not so much exactly what happens that day.
It's consistency. Yeah, that's good.
Paige, you had mentioned that you have some thoughts on kind of anti-doping in the world. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so like the drug test scare, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. And then also dipping under world record pace. So this is my first time in the USADA drug testing pool. Prior to this, I hadn't been, but just experiencing it a lot. Some things have like made me angry. Like, for example, when we dipped under world record pace, we weren't blood tested. We were only urine tested. And it's kind of like, well, I want to be blood tested because like, I know that I'm clean, and why isn't there more being done? And also just, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more thoroughness that could be done.
Yeah.
So you like more testing. You'd like more testing for winners. And is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
more,
I mean,
more
I
consistent
think
testing.
so. Yes. I think part of it is also just having COVID happened. It was really hard to test during that period, and I wasn't even in the testing pool at that point. But and no, that's no one's fault either. So
Did they test you at NCAA's?
they did not.
So, okay.
UVA did. UVA does regular testing. So they tested us after ACCs, before NCAA's, and then we also do random drug tests. But yeah, I was NCAA champion and I never got a drug test there, even though, we get warnings about it, you're subject to drug testing. It never happened.
Yeah. So speaking of you being the reigning NCAA champion in the 200, the 500, and the 1650, one would have to be living with their head in the sand not to hear about the giant news on Lia Thomas, the swimmer for University of Pennsylvania, who is breaking records in the Ivy League and certainly team records for your events, the 200, the 500, and the 1650. Leah is a transgender swimmer, and at this point in the season is headed for NCAAs and maybe possibly some NCAA titles. What are your thoughts on that, Paige?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I first want to say that I don't think that it should be a discussion of, what, like, against Leah. She's doing nothing wrong. She's abiding by NCAA rules. It's a very tricky subject, and I don't really think I've done enough research or enough research to know anything really about it, or to form a proper opinion. So it's hard to say. So
yeah, we totally understand.
Yeah, I'd love to know. I think we read that you were at some point in your college career thinking about becoming a PA. Obviously, that's on hold while you're a professional swimmer. What's ahead for you? Well, how would you love it to play out?
Yeah, so originally I was planning on being done swimming after this year, and then starting to apply to PA schools, but that plan kind of changed because I've realized now that I am really enjoying swimming and traveling more than anything. I've met some really, really cool people, so I want to stick with swimming for a little while with the goal of going to 2024. And so I think after that, I don't know if I would want to start PA school right away because again, I don't know if I will experience, if I make the Olympic team, the post-Olympic slump. So maybe I'll take a gap year and then start PA school in 2025. I think I've realized, I felt rushed to do that, to like start that right away after college for a long time. And I've had to take a step back and kind of realize, like, I'm young. I have the rest of my life to go to PA school. This isn't going to change anything. It's not going to, stop me from becoming a PA if I decide to go a different route than what's considered traditional for a little while. So I'm excited about that.
That's great. So what do you hope to suck out of your swimming career? More records or more, obviously another Olympic team. What do you, yeah, you don't have to be specific if you want, but again, in a perfect world, what does it look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, in a perfect world, I would like to go to the Olympics again. For now, I'm just really enjoying the people that I'm meeting. And hopefully I'll make some other teams and get to travel some more. That's what I love more than anything. And I've made some really cool friendships, and not many other occupations allow that. So I realized that I'm really lucky in that way.
What is one thing you've learned from travel, other than airports are terrible places?
I don't know. Always bring like layers.
Because
whenever I get on a plane, like I get on the plane and I'm so hot until the plane takes off and then I'm freezing. So I've learned to pack, like, you know, you got a t-shirt and then your sweatshirt, and then maybe I got shorts and some sweatpants I put on over that. And I really love when they pass out the blankets, because I like to use that. And always remember your neck pillow if you're going long distances. My coach my coach Blair Bachman and I forgot our neck pillows on the way to Abu Dhabi, so we had to go buy some, and we bought these bright pink fluffy ones. They were pretty funny. They're actually pretty cute, but yeah, always remember that.
Neck pillows and layers. That's good life advice.
Yeah, that is great life advice. So Paige, is there anything secret that, or not secret, but a little known fact about Paige Madden? We get so many of you swimmers on here, and then we find out you're a concert pianist, or you do stand-up comedy, or you have 12 siblings, or like, what's a little known fact about Paige Madden? I didn't know you were from Alabama originally. Like, that was like, yes. Whoa, okay, she's from Alabama.
Yeah.
Like,
can you tell that I have an accent? No. Is my accent coming out? Okay, it's faded a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's faded since I've gone to college, but I don't know. I do have a bit of a creative side. I'm not a concert pianist, but I used to do ballet up until middle school. I think that's a large reason responsible for my swimming success. I did art for a while until like swimming took over. And now I just got a new camera for Christmas, so I'm getting into photography. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's fun. Yeah, we had a snow day on Monday, and I went around taking some photos and editing them after. So that was a good creative release for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So the last question we always ask before we're doing the fun sprinter round, which even though you'll not a sprinter, you are a sprinter, but you'll do great. Is there anything Yeah, I know. Is there anything that we have not asked you that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think you guys covered everything. I think, I guess just going off of my last comment about the creative thing, I think I could say it's good to have balance in your life. I've struggled with that for the past couple of months, not being in school, because for the past 4 years I've been swimming in school, and I love school and threw myself into that, so I've had a hard time not being in school. So I think it's good to find other things that you're interested in. You might not be the best at it. Like, I'm not the best at photography right now, but I think it's good to have good balance.
That's great. I was going to ask you what your advice was. That's perfect bit of advice for people coming up. Balance.
Yes. Okay. So now we do the fun little quick questions, or usually 1-word answers are kind of what we're looking for here. Are you ready?
Okay. I think I'm ready.
Okay. Cat or dog?
Cat.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Dark chocolate.
Kickboard or no kickboard?
Ooh. I'm going to have to say no kickboard.
Mountains or beach?
Beach for sure.
Football or baseball?
Football. I'm from Alabama. Come on.
Oh yeah. Okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Morning person or a night owl?
Night owl.
Finger polish or no finger polish?
Oh, okay. Well, so I'm superstitious. So I don't like to paint my fingernails before meet.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'm not opposed to fingernail polish. Like, I like to do it on the weekends for fun, but when it comes to race time, I have some notion in my head that it adds drag.
I love it. I love it. Now, is this borne out by a bad race with fingernail polish, or?
I don't know. I just remember seeing like the acrylic nails and being like, well, what if it comes off? Or what if,
Okay.
if it's like peeling a little bit and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
can feel it in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where I got it from.
Huh.
Love it.
That's
So
great.
Maria's got some for you.
Okay. A favorite
What's
color.
that?
Favorite color.
Oh, favorite color? Navy.
Favorite pizza topping.
Pepperoni.
Okay. Favorite vegetable.
Asparagus.
Favorite swim complex that you've swum in the US.
In the US? For the NCAA format, definitely Austin. Probably for like long course outdoor pools, I really liked the Stanford pool. That was nice.
Nice. What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to any and all kinds of music. It's every music. It's like I tell, like they're like, "What's your taste in music?" I'm like, it's everything except for the things I don't like.
What don't you like in music?
I don't know, probably like heavy metal or something hardcore like that. But
Okay.
yeah.
What's your shoe size?
8.5.
What any siblings?
Yes, I have an older brother named Carl.
Okay. And so we sometimes ask favorite Star Wars character, but for you, I'm going to go favorite Harry Potter character.
Oh, this is great because they just came out with like the HBO documentary. I really like Ron. I think he's just his facial expressions, especially in the early movies, are just so funny, and I think he's pretty relatable.
Great. Can you cook?
I can cook, just not that great.
You can save your life.
Yes, I can make.
That's like-
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I can cook. I just wouldn't want to cook for anyone else.
You're not going to
Yes.
starve. That's
Yes.
funny. Okay. Last question. What word comes to mind most when you dive in the water?
That is a very good question because I think that my mind is blank when I dive in. Like it's kind of just on autopilot.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just white noise, white.
Yes, at the risk of sounding, I don't know, ignorant. It's just blank.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Are you, Paige, are you one of those swimmers when you're done with a race that like you don't remember it? Like I know sometimes people will get out and they'll be like, wow, that was my best time ever. Gosh, I don't really remember that race. Are you
Yes,
so in a
absolutely.
different, you are. Okay.
Yes. My best races, I'm like, I don't know what happened.
You used
So
to
I
cook.
find that to be fascinating because I think people who perform at that super high level sometimes just get into a place where they're just on another plane. So they aren't thinking, am I
it's just
pulling water or
adrenaline. It's
whatever?
adrenaline taking
Yeah,
over. I
adrenaline.
think that's
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you mentioned
Cool.
earlier about counting strokes. So that sort of helped you stay in the longer race to keep.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
well,
So
good.
that
Yeah.
for the mile I'm doing a lot more thinking than the 200,
Right.
just because there's a lot more time and room
Yeah.
for that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Well,
great.
You've been fabulous.
You
This is
have.
awesome.
You're a
We're going
delight.
to we're looking forward to your next few years here, keeping an eye on you and cheering for you, Paige. Thank you so much for being with Champions Mojo today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Paige.
Thank you guys. I had a lot of fun. I really appreciate you having me.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
Take care.
It's now time for the takeaways. Maria, you and I have heard the takeaways are the best part of the show.
That's right, Kelly, because the takeaways are curated information, which is what we give to our clients when we coach them.
If you would like to take your performance to the next level in health, life, or leadership, go to our website and schedule your free 30-minute consultation.
Yes, just click on our coaching page and book there. We're looking forward to bringing out the champion in you.
And now, the takeaways.
Okay, so the takeaways for Paige Madden, silver medalist in the Olympics and American record holder, and just all around amazing woman.
Wonderful,
what a
sweet,
yeah.
wise
Yeah.
young woman. Really
Great
liked her.
interview.
Yeah.
Yes. So what was your first takeaway?
Well, I loved one of the things she talked about. She's dealt with a lot of pressure in the last year in terms of her, all the really important swim meets. She had ACCs and NCAAs Olympic trials, then Olympics. So lots of big meets.
And then pro finals.
And then pro finals.
ISL finals. Yeah.
And she kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't really expected that she would do as well as she did. So she's had some pressure, and you can tell she's kind of the kind of person who pressures on herself and tries to do it all right. So one of the things that I really liked that she said was when she was at the Olympics and she was feeling really nervous for the final and the relay, she said she tried to take the energy and the adrenaline from that and focus on her teammate. She talked about bringing the little coin, the poker chip, the blind chip to her teammate, and just taking the focus off herself and off her race and putting it out there as a kind of an act of love for her teammates. So I thought that was a great little bit of advice when we feel like really overwhelmed by pressure. Just stop navel gazing. Look out. Who can you help? Who can you encourage? I thought that was.
Yes, very, very valuable in dealing with pressure and stress. Is get off your navel and look at help somebody else. So yeah, that's one of our pieces of advice that we love. So definitely, that benefited Paige. My first one was, I talked about it a lot in the show, is how she does her breathing different off of every wall, which goes against everything in the textbook of how you breathe off the wall. Normally, you're supposed to take at least one stroke. A lot of coaches like to take two, and Paige just pushes off and grabs air right on her first stroke. In fact, there is no first stroke. The first thing Paige does when she comes out of the wall is breathe.
Wow.
So that is unusual. And the takeaway is you don't always have to do it like you're supposed to win. There's just like a lot of people, oh, you can never do it like that. Right. So I loved that she's doing something differently and really succeeding at it because it works for her personally. And it just shows that we need some personalization to our peak performances sometimes.
That is so true. We do this a lot in our coaching too. Each person is different, and she also mentioned about, meditation not really working for her in terms of dealing with her stress. So I think it's really important to treat yourself as, experiment of one. And, if something is working for you, go with it. If something's not working for you, change it, but be aware that you don't have to be exactly like everybody else. You don't have to. So I love that. That was great. And it kind of, it's a good jumping off point for the next bit, which is, she said she's creative and she did ballet and she's doing photography now, but she said a lot of that by way of saying that, you have to have something other than swimming. You have to have balance in your life. And I think this is true for all of us. I was thinking about that this morning. Right now I'm focusing a lot on my cycling and, and I have to do other fun things. I can't just add that to my already busy life. So the balance of especially creative things, I think it's really important if you're a hard worker like Paige is, like I am, like you are, to add something really creative and use that other part of your brain to create a better and more well-rounded life.
Yeah. So your second takeaway is just have balance and be creative.
Yeah. I think the balance with creativity is it specifically, not just balance. I mean, balance, what is balance, but hard work with something creative and flowy. For me, that's really important. Yeah.
I'm right on board with that. So my second takeaway, again, kind of showing that Paige Madden is a little bit out of the box, where we have asked the question, and this was actually not in the interview. It was in the questions at the end, which I love. Those questions often bring out the fun sprinter round where we ask some fun questions. We asked Paige, what goes through your mind when you first dive in the water?
Oh, that's right.
She said, blank. I'm just blank. And you said white noise. And I love that she isn't kind of grinding or thinking on something. She is blank. And so again, that is the first time we've ever had that answer that anyone has ever said, I'm just blank. And so I love that and then I followed up with the question of, so are you one of those people that when you're doing a performance, you don't remember it? And so, I know this happens way outside of swimming. If you give a speech, you come off the stage, you're like, what did I say? You're like, you don't remember things, or you have a situation where you do something and you don't remember it. And that's usually just like a really, really high level of performance where your adrenaline is so off the charts that you just don't remember it. So sometimes I believe that we worry about what happens if we get too high. What happens if we go off the charts? And I think we have that maybe a protective little mechanism that we might go blank. So that was my takeaway, was that it's okay to have silence in your head sometimes, or to not remember what you did as a performer.
Right. Well, especially when you're performing as well as she is.
Yeah.
So I think that's really true. We used to call it, white noise, or seeing the white light. If you've prepared, then that just means all of your energy is going into, your performance, and none of it's going into outthinking yourself.
Yeah.
So that's great. Great. That was a great takeaway. It's a great interview. Listen to the whole thing. She's a remarkable person.
Yes. Hope you'll listen to the whole thing. Maria, another one in the books. Love you. Thanks
Love
so
you
much.
Too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast with host Kelly Palace and Maria Parker. Champions Mojo is produced by Cabra Media, and a new episode debuts every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Follow Champions Mojo on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @Champions Mojo.